If you want to spend less time studying, boost your learning by engaging more of your brain. This first set here, there's very little extra effort required, but learning occurs faster because more parts of the brain are connecting. So you can do things like saying the correct definition out loud, spelling the word out loud, visualizing the meaning of the word. Like if it's a noun and it's something you can picture, or a verb and you can picture it happening, that is really helpful. Taking short breaks, using it in a sentence, like, Isabella, what are you adept at? Oh, I'm adept at fencing. Something like that is good. Repeat the word and the meaning a few times. Adept, skilled at. Adept, skilled at. The more you do things like that, the more it's going to stick. This next batch here, this one has more effort required, but the payoff is worth it. Stop and think. Associate the new word with words you already know. Write it down as you spell it out loud. Type it as you spell it out loud. Typing uses different parts of the brain from writing, and some research that came out like at the beginning of 2024 was pretty clearly indicating that writing involves much more of your brain than typing. So writing things down is really better for learning them than typing is. Typing is a great way to get it on the page, but writing is really, the one that helps you learn. Checking recent examples on the web at merriam-webster.com is another one. And then spell it in sign language. So I'm going to go back to something else and look at those two things for a second. If you go to merriam-webster.com and look up your word and scroll part of the way down the page, but you can get to a part where it says recent examples on the web. This word was avert. So meanwhile, there's a diplomatic scramble to avert full-scale war between Israel and Lebanon. So we have several examples here. This is a really, really helpful thing to do. If you don't know a word, go to this page, look at the recent examples, and it's going to give you all kinds of context that will help you to learn that word. My other suggestion, and I used to do this in my classroom with my French and Spanish students, we would learn the sign language alphabet along with the French or Spanish letters. And so then when we were having a test where spelling was important, we would practice spelling the words out loud and also signing them. And this really appealed to kinesthetic learners because, it was actual movement for a change rather than just writing or reading or speaking or whatever. Just a different part of your brain is being activated, so it's a great way to enhance what you're already learning. The last set, these require sustained effort. This is stuff that you would do over a period of time, but they cement the learning. So be honest with yourself, number one. If you don't know it, study it again. If you lie to yourself and say, oh yeah, I know that word, doesn't do you any good. You don't learn the word and you're just wasting time. Using the word in context, like in conversation. If it's one that you're particularly struggling with, go out of your way to use it in conversation, even if nobody around you knows what it means. Then explain it to them. That's another opportunity for you to learn it. Test yourself. Again, be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself, and don't hit override I was right if you got it wrong. But testing yourself once in a while is a good idea. And then periodically review the sets you've already learned. So up until right now, we were talking about just week one. Now, I know this sounds overwhelming, but really, to spend 22 weeks increasing your vocabulary, if you really want a high score on the SAT and you are struggling on the reading, this is probably what's going to make the difference for you. Because I always tell students, there is always a connection between the passage and the answer. You may not see that connection because you might not understand a word, but it's always there. If you learn these words, you're going to see more of those connections, get more of the questions right, and get a higher score.